Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic. Glad to have you aboard with us here. Of course, if you have a roof issue, give us a shout 364-1007, 364-1007. New, soon to be named roofing and construction company. Excited to tell you about that. ProCharge EV and Restored Motions. Going to go see Crystal. Threw up my back yesterday. Been a minute since that happened, but going to go see Crystal Poche on Thursday. Telling you, got issues. Don't live in pain. Book a session. Crystal Poche, Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com. Okay, y'all. Pelicans play-in day against the Lakers. I'm bummed that it came to this. Didn't have to come to this. Um, you you had a 6-game homestand. You went 1-5. You went and took care of your business on the road against Phoenix, against Portland, against Golden State, and then you come home and you lay an egg against the Lakers. So instead of being in the playoffs as the 6th seed against Minnesota, now if you win tonight, you're in as the 7th seed and you get to play Denver. If you lose tonight, which I'm kind of hoping they do, if you lose tonight, then you get the winner of Sacramento Golden State. And if you win that, then you get to play OKC in a 1 versus 8 matchup. And I think you match up better against Oklahoma City than Denver. I mean, that goes without saying. So even if you win tonight, your playoff life, your playoff tenure will be short lived against Denver. But Pels are a 1.5 favorite tonight. They were a 1.5 favorite at home on Sunday. We'll see what team shows up. Congrats to Angel Reese, drafted 7th overall by the Chicago Sky. So she and Camila Cardoso are going to be teammates in Chicago. Chicago had the 3rd pick. They picked Cardoso. Then they had the 7th pick, and they picked Angel Reese. So Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso, two adversaries, LSU, South Carolina, now teammates. Congrats to Angel on that. And LSU baseball back at it tonight. They take on UNO out at the box. So here's hoping. All right, we'll say some good mornings. You know the drill as always. Fire away. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe up to the channel, Facebook, like the Matt Moscona page, share the post. We appreciate y'all for being here with us as always. We'll get to it. Matt Plavidal, good morning. I asked you about Braden Montgomery yesterday at A&M. That was a big loss for us. Seems like Tommy White of the portal last year. So Braden Montgomery is a kid from Mississippi. For those who don't remember, went to Stanford and was strongly considering LSU in the portal. He is he is not only a power hitting outfielder, but also a guy who can pitch as well, and he's a top prospect. He went to A&M instead of LSU, and I'm looking up his stats at A&M this year as of right now. He has pitched 2 innings. He's only pitched twice this year. Let's see. He's hitting 380 with 19 homers. Whew. Is that right? No. 19 walks. I was about to say 19 homers. No way. He's only got 1 homer on the season. Okay. I was about to say that was going to make me no. Why is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, he does have 19 homers. Huh. He's got 33 walks and 19 homers. He's batting 380 with 19 homers. So, yeah, Matt. Yeah. I would say not getting Braden Montgomery out of the portal was a big miss. But we got Mac Bingham. So, I don't mean to be rude, especially when we talk about college players tell you that all the time. But how different, like these are misses, right? How different does your roster look if you have Braden Montgomery instead of Mac Bingham and say Colby Shelton instead of Michael Braswell? Trivia Carter, Wendell Norman, Tim Gotro, Kelly Gross, Chris P. Good morning. Brett Gidry, Jacoby Matthews officially in the portal. Matthews will be an interesting one because there is an SEC rule that prohibits uh, intra-conference transferring in the spring portal window. So, as the SEC rules are currently stated, Jacoby Matthews could not transfer to LSU and be eligible for the fall. Now, could file a lawsuit and he'd win because everybody wins when they file lawsuits. Every player wins when they file lawsuits against the NCAA or conferences because um, the manner in which these rules are written um, won't hold up in court. Now, there's another thing I don't know. I don't know if Jacoby Matthews has graduated. Now, if he has graduated, then he can uh, transfer to LSU. If you're a graduate, then it's sort of all bets are off. So he could transfer. Graduates can enter the portal whenever they want, go wherever they want. Jason H, good morning. Bubba Smith, good morning. Taylor Hudson, good morning. Von Bluesman, good morning. Humidity's back. Christian, good morning, y'all. Portal activity already going crazy. There's over 2,400 kids in the portal, 1,300 commitments. The one thing that I hope for some of the guys and gals, I'm understanding football, but that enter the portal is, I hope the ones that think there's greener pastures are doing their due diligence because what can happen to some of them is you enter the portal, you you don't find a landing spot, and your spot at your previous school is gone. So what do you do? And that does happen. So you certainly hope that all those student athletes would do their due diligence. James McKinney, morning, Matt. Y'all got to come up with a new song for your company. James, I will enlist the help of Mr. Toby Tomplay, of course, earworm writer extraordinaire. So he wrote the Hudco jingle, which I loved, and that was a great jingle. And he wrote the AFR theme song. After further review, he's written a lot of jingles as well that you hear on radio that you just don't know are him. But yes, I will absolutely have Toby write a new jingle. Yes. Jesse Brown, good morning. Trey Fisher, good morning. Zachary Snyder, Jay Borden, what's up? Devin Johnson, man, sorry, I keep asking about stadium stuff. Looks like we might be getting a new North End Zone LED board. Yeah, man. So, you know what? And this is another thing where I have to figure out how I can upload files on here so I can just show you. But I think this will I thought I took a picture. Maybe I did not. Yes. So right now, when you sit in Tiger Stadium, when you look up at the North End Zone video board, it's nothing but wood. Like the whole face has been removed, right? So it's just hollow. It's just the hollow shell. So yes, they're replacing that, and the video screens in the south, east, and west corners. Those are being replaced as well. So yes, and they also have the new LED lights in the stadium. So if you look at the top of the upper decks, the tower lights, right? Those are now the LED lights that can flash and do all that stuff. They've replaced those. Matt Plavidal, Matt, is it time to trade Zion or BI? Injury bug continues and don't seem they will ever contend. No, I don't think you're going to be better by trading your best player. And Brandon Ingram is your best player, and you've also, by the way, signed Zion last year or 2 years ago to the Supermax extension. So you're not getting rid of either of those guys, nor should you get rid of either of those guys. You got to build around them, and it helps when they get better and you win, and then it's easier to attract free agents. Look, 2 years ago when they got CJ at the trade deadline, and they made the play, they won the play in, and you pushed. It was we were optimistic that then last year you would take that next step, right? Instead, what happened is Zion got hurt. and you took a big step back. Well, this year he stayed healthy and you're back to the play-in. Now it's like, how do you progress forward? Let's see. Deborah Cowart, good morning. Christian, wonder what the viewership of WNBA draft was. Had to be most viewed draft in their history. First time ever, I think the WNBA draft was trending on socials. I don't know that I would say it's the first time it's ever trended on socials, but I would agree with you that it probably was the most viewed draft ever. The WNBA has had great players in their league, but they just haven't had transcendent stars. What I mean is um, like Diana Taurasi is a great player. She was great at UConn and she's been great in the WNBA. But when she went to the WNBA, we've all forgotten her. People who follow the WNBA haven't, but mainstream sports. I mean, you remember who Diana Taurasi is, but nobody. Do y'all even know what team she plays for? Like that's kind of the. I mean, people now know what the Indiana Fever is. I saw last night that all of Caitlin Clark's jerseys at their team store sold out in an hour. So you have a transcendent star in the league now who, again, like transcends the sport. People outside of just basketball fans know who Caitlin Clark is, which is going to make it more appealing. So good luck. I hope she does great. Brent St. Germain, Rocky Killian, Matt, how did Colin Hurley look? Colin Hurley, I don't think he's going to play this year. No, Colin Hurley looked good. He's for a guy that I think he just made 17. When he showed up on campus, he was 16, but I think he's 17 now. Again, he reclassified, so he graduated a year early and enrolled early. So this would technically be like the spring of his junior year of high school. But he threw a touchdown pass. He ran with the threes. He threw a touchdown pass to Kai Preen at the end of the spring game. And, I think it's I think what will be really interesting is what will the domino effect be next year when Bryce Underwood shows up. So, Nuss will have a fifth year if he wants it. What happens with Ricky Collins and AJ Swan? This year, who wins the backup? You would likely think after this year, one of those guys leaves. Then you'd have Colin Hurley and Bryce Underwood. So I think it kind of depends on what happens with Nuss too. So, like, does Nuss come back for a fifth year? So, it's gonna be interesting. But you got options, which is a good problem to have. Eric Waterwater, morning, Matt. Is it concerning at all the majority of Jay Johnson's success has been driven by inherited players in the portal? I think Jay is the man. Just seems like he struggled there. So, Eric, I could not disagree with you more. I've started to hear some of that. And first of all, okay, let's be very clear about this. Okay, Jay Johnson has won everywhere he's been. Jay had a number one recruiting class in the country when he was at the University of San Diego. He got Chris Bryant to San Diego. Okay. He had top recruiting classes at Arizona, got them in a College World Series final, and that was pre-transfer portal. Okay. Pre-transfer portal, pre-NIL. He was one win away in the 2016 College World Series from winning the national championship against when Coastal Carolina won it. Okay. So Jay, and then he comes here and in 2 years wins a national championship. So let's be very clear about something. Jay has won everywhere he's been. For anyone who might say that, oh, well, Jay inherited Dylan Cruz and Trey Morgan, and yes, there were good players here that Paul Maneri and Nolan Kane and his staff recruited. There were. But you don't win the national championship last year without Paul Skeens or without Tommy White or without Riley Cooper or without Gavin Guidry, who was on the bump to win the national championship for you, or without Nate Ackenhausen, who extended your season with the win over Tennessee, or without Griffin Herring, who also was pretty nails in the second game against Wake Forest. These were all players that Jay brought in. So if the portal wasn't available, Jay would be crushing it in high school recruiting, which he is anyway. But you have the portal as a tool. The truth is this year, you missed. You missed. You brought in Bingham and Braswell and Jump, and we all, me included, thought it made a lot of sense. Braswell was an SEC experienced guy, although I would have loved for them to go after Shelton or Luke Hill. We talked about that a bunch. But they stuck with Braswell. Okay. You brought in Mac Bingham, who's a nice player, but I'd certainly much rather, a guy like Braden Montgomery. You brought in Gage Jump. We were all excited. 95 from the left side looks really good. Yeah, he missed last year because of the arm injury. It hasn't really come together for him yet this year. Like, what are we talking about here? No, Jay has not struggled. You had some misses this year, which is going to happen. But I also know there's no one that I would rather have like you could give me literally any baseball coach in the country. Say take anybody. You could have. Do you want Kevin O'Sullivan? Do you want Tim Corbin? Do you want Jim Schlossnagle? Name it? Name whoever. Name any baseball coach in the country, college baseball coach. You could have whoever you want. Like I would say, I'll take Jay Johnson. Jesse Brown, Matt. Apparently, St. Brown will wear number 13 for the Saints. Any chance we see him on the field as a fourth receiver? So that's Equanimous St. Brown, who the Saints signed late last week. They did issue him number 13. Saints began off-season workouts yesterday, the voluntary workout program. I think he could make the team. I don't know that it's necessarily a given. He's not nearly as talented as his brother Amon-Ra St. Brown, but he's been in the league for 7 years. He's a veteran in a young group, which I think they need. I mean, keep in mind, Olave's entering year 3. Shaheed's entering they're both entering year 3. So you've got a young receiver group. I like that they added some veterans, Cedric Wilson. But, if you just look at it and go, okay, well, Shaheed and Olave are going to make the team. I think A.T. Perry's got a great chance of making the team. And I think Cedric Wilson probably will as well. That's 4. I think you're going to draft a receiver in the second round. You would think that's 5, and that's it. So, could St. Brown be a practice squad guy? Could he beat out Cedric Wilson for a role? Maybe. But if they do draft a receiver high and A.T. Perry makes the team, there's like maybe one spot left for all the guys you signed this year. Cajun Country, morning, Matt. When does Jay pull a Mike Bianco and use one lineup and use 6 to 7 pitchers? That's it. Usually you do that in the postseason. You typically shrink down your lineup like that in the postseason. You shrink your roster because you have to have a postseason roster. So typically that's when that happens. Zachary Snyder, morning, Matt. What's the status on Weeks and Womack? Haven't heard much about them this offseason. Deshaun Womack did really well in spring. Brian Kelly was asked about him specifically after the spring game, and we played that cut yesterday on AFR, as a matter of fact. So Womack's running is the second right end, so he's playing behind Braden Swinson at right defensive end. So Savion Jones is left defensive end with Parashan behind him, and then Swinson and Womack at right defensive end. The biggest thing for Womack is he's getting bigger and stronger physically. I remember last year going to one of the fall camp practices. It was in the indoor. I remember like watching it. I think I might have actually videoed it, but they were doing reps where where the defensive lineman had to split a double team, and he got ragdolled. Deshaun Womack did. I think his great benefit a year ago was his speed coming off the edge, but because when you can't play the run, and SEC offensive linemen get into your pads, that's a problem. And I think that's why he was probably limited in his ability and effectiveness a year ago. And Weeks is fine. Both Weeks brothers are running second team. So you got Perkins and Penn as your starters. Witt and West Weeks are your twos. Jeff McKithen, what's going on? Adam Parker, Eli, good morning. We're going to look back 2 to 3 years at the LSU offense and wonder why they didn't win 10-plus games with all those NFL players. Eli, I think we're looking at them right now. They did win 10 with the bowl game, but I think everyone already thinks that. You don't need to wait 2 to 3 years for it. We already get it. You had the number one offense in the country. You had the number one total and number one scoring offense in the country, and you lost 3 games. You scored 4. What was the final Ole Miss game? Was it 55-47? It was 55. We had a 9-point lead, didn't we? 55-49. You scored 49 and lost. You scored 49 points in a game in regulation and lost. I wonder if that's the most LSU's ever scored in regulation and lost in regulation. Again, I'm not talking about the 7 overtime game. I wonder. 55-49. I wonder if 49 is the most LSU's ever scored in regulation and lost. Matt Plavidal, can you ask Shay about Hakeem Stewart reclassifying? Jakeem Stewart, the defensive lineman out of Aug? I'll ask him. I haven't heard any of that. I'm not saying that hasn't been talked about. I haven't heard that, though. Yeah, there you go. Jakeem, got it. I knew what you meant, Matt. Darren Reeves, what's going on? Gorilla. Matt, can you give the people a Bama's burning update? Gladly, whenever when Bama continues burning, maybe with this portal window, we'll see. We'll get more of an opportunity. Quentin Brakebill, good morning from Tulsa. All right, Quentin. Hope you're having a good morning. Brian Wynn, Ryan Slayton, good morning from Montana. I don't think people realize how brutal LSU baseball schedule has been to date. Ryan, I think people understand that. I do. I also think, regardless of the schedule, to be 3-12 is unacceptable. Yes, if Ryan, if you had an Ole Miss mixed in there somewhere, an Auburn, a Missouri mixed in the first half, maybe instead of 3-12, you're looking at 5-10, 6-9, something that feels more manageable, right? So, no excuses now, man. You got Missouri this week. You'd have to play A&M. It's time to go on a run. Bailey C. Pelicans won't take that next step. Great, Bailey. Appreciate your positivity. Thanks for being here this morning. Darren Reeves, 100% nailed your reply and opinion on Jay Johnson. Luis Alaman, correct. Yeah, we firing Jay yet. I know the season didn't start, but we fired Brian Kelly too. I like Brian Kelly. I think he's been a pleasure to cover, man. I really do. For all of the opinions people had on Brian Kelly, and listen, my hand's in the air. The only thing I knew about Brian Kelly was all the red face yelling on the sideline, grizzled Northeastern guy. He is the opposite of that. Like, he's nothing but like bad dad jokes and transparency. I'd like him a lot. Like, it just as a media coach, like covering. I mean, I've enjoyed covering Brian Kelly. He's self-deprecating. Like, he made fun of himself for forgetting guys' names, which he does all the time. Yeah, he's been great to cover. He gets it. He gets the pressure. He gets there's going to be criticism and all that stuff. Doesn't really let it bother him. I mean, he's exactly what you would hope a coach like that would be, which LSU hasn't had around here for a long time. Okay, real quick. Can you reiterate for the people in the back? It's not who you play; it's when you play them. I can't stand hearing random people give our Tigers 5 losses on schedule alone. Oh, I agree. That's absolutely true. Look, LSU's schedule on its face looks tough, but the way it's broken down, if you win at South Carolina, which you should, you'll be undefeated playing Ole Miss, and you get a bye before the Ole Miss game, and they have to and for them that's back-to-back road conference games. You get your bye before Bama. You get Oklahoma in Baton Rouge this year, and I don't know that Oklahoma's going to be great. You're playing, I think, 4 first-year head coaches this year. I'm not saying it's an easy schedule. I'm just saying it's manageable the way that it is laid out. It is the opposite of how the LSU baseball schedule was laid out here in the first half, which is very difficult. All right, I got to get going. Luis, good morning. Lisa Drago, good morning. Craig, it was a joke, guys. I think we're good hands with all the coaches. Craig, I think by now we know. I know, Craig, that you're joking anyway. And I appreciate your attempts at levity and humor here on Morning Scone, Craig. Rick, morning, Matt. My guess for your new roofing company, MVP Roofing. You'd be guessing wrong, Rick. But soon, any day now, we'll be able to unveil the name of the new roofing company. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, I think we're done. Perfect. And it's 7:59, so with a minute to spare. As always, appreciate y'all. If you need an orthopedist, go to Brock. They're the best. After hours clinics open. Today is the 16th. Real quick, if your son or daughter or someone you know is an athlete, go to brortho.com. They have the game day prep coming up. So go to brortho.com, hit the foundation tab, game day prep. Game day prep is Saturday, May 11th from 7 to noon. It's free physicals for middle school and high school athletes in Baton Rouge and surrounding areas. So you can register your school, team, individual athlete, but the deadline to register is April 19th. So that's in 3 days. So go to brortho.com, brortho.com. Okay. Look at my guy. Much love, Maddie. Thanks for never missing a day. See you tomorrow. Thank you, Go Real. Appreciate it. And Michael Cook on the way out. Hope you have a great one, dude. Y'all be good. We'll see you. Peace. I'm out of